Oh man, long day, long weekend. I'm here to make sure that I get a video out before the end of January, so we're going with the easy peasy reading log. Yeah, we're 3 weeks in, so I've got 2 weeks of catch up to do later, maybe even this week, but I'm just gonna get right into it. This is what I've read in 7 days. And we're gonna start with my lovesick life as a 90s otaku. It's a fun volume. It's pretty interesting because it leans very hard into actually being an otaku, especially in the 90s. All the magazines, the fanzines, the doujinshi, a little bit of everything in there. And it really stresses how much being an artist really played into that degree of being an otaku, which I think is very interesting because these days you really don't see as deep a connection between the word otaku and like being that ardent of a fan for something. I think is really, really interesting. And it's something that a lot of people don't really grasp. Another thing is they don't really grasp how like gross being an otaku was back then. Well, not even maybe gross, but it was very socially unacceptable. Like it was very much a thing that if you were an otaku, no one would talk to you. Everyone would think you are just someone that they should never associate with. And there's a really, really disturbing, also kind of interesting story behind how that came to be. But that's not talked about in this manga. This manga is about an otaku trying to hide their feelings towards anime and manga so that they can lead a normal high school life. They can fall in love. They can do this and that. And to a degree, it really does go through that. And I think there's some really interesting ideas presented thanks to, I wouldn't say one, but a couple different comparisons within here. So there's a past and a present, and the past is the girl in high school trying to find love and be a regular high school girl, and the present is her being a single mother with a daughter that is a huge anime and manga fan. So it really helps present the two sides of the conversation that it's trying to have. And I think it does a really good job within this first volume. It does a really great job of selling a lot of that stuff. It makes reference to a whole bunch of classic series. The art style is very well done. It's very much, it's an interesting mix. It's a very interesting mix of like old and new. And I think that's very much what the author was going for in here. So, I mean, if you're a bit of a nerd or a geek and you want something a little more fun and silly to read that still hits all those notes, like it brings up Evangelion or Evangelion, whichever you prefer, a whole bunch of different shoujo series, Slam Dunk gets mentioned, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's a really fun ride. I like it. I think a lot of people will like it because of how straightforward it is. So, yeah, if you want to pick it up, I definitely recommend it. Anyways, next one, Honey Lemon Soda Volume 4, the popular Twitter manga. Not that it was on Twitter, but that people on Twitter wanted it licensed, but they haven't really been all over it as of late. Anyways, Volume 4. It sticks with a lot of the same shoujo tropes. It's very strong into that side of things. I think is a point of contention for why I don't like the manga as much as I could, but I wouldn't say it's totally detrimental to it. I mean, it's the same way that like Hallmark movies have their place still, right? Like there's a reason that some of these things exist still. And I mean, as much as the romance being dragged on is kind of painful, I think there's still a lot of good ideas in here just because of the breadth of the cast and the angle that they're approaching it from. Like Kai and Ishimori's dynamic still remains very interesting and ever evolving, but it just feels like the romance aspect weighs that down. Like they could do way more being just friends or classmates right now than they could be Ishimori crushing on Kai. Though I mean, with the events that come at the end of this volume, I think introducing the romance now would be good, but still, I think there's a lot that could change to make it better. But I wouldn't say it's really all that bad. And I mean, the art's still great. The style is very, very fun. It's got a lot. It's got a lot going for it. It's got a lot going for it. I'll say that much. And one of my favorite things about this is just the screen tones. They're so heavy and involved. I just really like how all over the place they're. Like it takes a lot of effort to do all of that. Like there's like, I don't know, 4, sometimes even 5 screen tones to a page. And that takes a lot of time to to paste on there. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort, and I mean, it adds a lot of feeling to a lot of the moments. So, I mean, I think if you're kind of looking for an easy cookie cutter style read, Honey Lemon Soda can do the trick for you. But if you're not entirely sold on some of the more tropey aspects of shoujo series, it's probably not for you. Anyways, another different thing. We got Fat, Volume 3 of Soloist In A Cage here. And I mean, it's fat because Moria was trying to end this series with its 3rd volume. And I mean, it's a very awkward situation. I don't want to be harsh about it because of the situation, because Moria went on hiatus between volumes 2 and 3 or somewhere around there. And came back just to finish the manga off because of his health condition. So I don't want to be like rude about it, but the story is very much just kind of like, oh, I just want to get this to the end. I just want to make sure we get to a satisfying ending point and we call it a day, basically. I mean, he does that, and I think there's, like, it's not terrible. It's very B-movie, like B-list movie, but it's not bad. Like, it's not god-awful. And like, Moria's art is still as incredible as ever. Of course, like, it's just the hatching and shading is just on another level. It's incredible. Let me see if I can find a good page here for you. Sorry. My head's down half this video because I'm looking through stuff here. Here we go. I think Moria's art is incredible, and I'm really hoping to see him on another series at some point, just because of how incredible that art is. Like, the shading and the scale. And I love how fluid it is. Like, his line art can be very, very fine, like very, very light, or it can be very hefty to kind of sell the difference in detail. I think it's really smart how he works like that. Is his line art, more than anything, affects the level of detail that you perceive in something, and it's really, really great. And I mean, some of his ideas, they're just so amazing. Like, you can't match this guy as an artist, especially as a fresh one. Like, this is his first serialized manga, is the craziest thing, this thing. So I'm really hoping that Moria can get into a better situation with his health and be in a better space to create stuff like this, because I mean, it's a very novel idea. There's very great sequences within this series. It's just that it came to too early of an end, too rushed of an end. So I think it's absolutely worth it to have in any collection, just because of how incredible the art is. I mean, the story's there too for the first 2 volumes, but I think the art really sells you on this series. Alright. Next up, this is a reread, just because, I mean, it's Ai Yazawa. Like, it's hard not to appreciate her work. It's really, this is the earliest licensed manga we have of Yazawa in English, officially. I should also add, to my knowledge, I'm not 100% if there's some small publisher, but it's whatever. Neighborhood Story is really, really great in a lot of ways, and I think it can kind of show a bit of Yazawa's immaturity compared to, like, her crowning achievement, Nana, same difference. Anyways, it's got a lot of great ideas and great work in here, but I mean, I think it ties itself a little too close to the love in this first omnibus, I guess it would be. Let me check how many pages are in here. Let's see. I can't tell. It's volume 1, okay. But yeah, it ties itself too close to the romance off, like, out the gates. So I think it becomes a little heavy-handed in some sequences, and I think the other aspect that's challenging is how much Yazawa vocalizes within these character monologues. So it becomes a bit of a I know more than I'm supposed to kind of thing. So the story plays differently. But I mean, it's Yazawa. I can't stay mad. I can't stay mad. The character designs, the fashion, the paneling. I mean, it's just, I can't get enough. I love the style. It's just too great. And I also really I find it very interesting in contrast to what we got here, Mayu Murata on Honey Lemon Soda, how few screen tones there are within the series. Well, not the series, the volume. Like, you find them in very, very subtle places. They're used to express fashion and design, or like little details. They're not used to provide too much feel within the manga. I'm just trying, like, I'm trying to find one right now, and it's very hard to find one that's really expressed that strongly within the series, and I think that's very interesting because it's kind of not a display, but kind of proof to Yazawa's confidence within her own work, that she doesn't need to add too much to like get her point across. I mean, there's no slight against Murata and Honey Lemon Soda because that's all part of its style, but it's more so that Neighborhood Story here is confident in its art and its work enough that it doesn't feel the need to complement it with something else. So I mean, yeah, it's still a great read. It's still a great series. I mean, it's Ai Yazawa. She's got a self-insert character in here, and I think that's hilarious. It's very her. The whole fashion thing. I love the character designs. They're just, it's a great series. It's a great read. I mean, you should definitely pick it up. And I mean, they even have all these cool color pages throughout and at the end. I mean, Viz, this is what you should be doing for a regular release. Like, it just looks great. It's great, and I love the little details here on the French flaps. It's fun. They really put a lot of effort into it, and I think it's worth whatever this price tag is. 25 US, 34 Canadian, 20 Great British Pound. Anyways, good series. Let's get to the next. We got a trio here from Milk Morinaga. Hana and Hina After School. I bought this a while ago because it was a one-off reprint, and I didn't want to worry about picking it up later. But it was a series that I never really felt like I was like, oh, I have to read it now. Until this week, and I read it, and I mean, it's very much Morinaga. Like, it's very much her series, and I think her work in regards to specifically Yuri, but just the idea of LGBTQ romance in general, is very great. It's very, like, it just hits all the right notes. It hits the yearning. It hits the kind of distance that's forced between the characters because of how they perceive things and social norms, especially within Japan. I love how they use the idea of work as like symbolism for their relationship, like the romantic side of it. And they use, it's just really, really great in that sense. I mean, the art isn't like the craziest thing ever. Let me show you a page here. Her art is very, I wouldn't say typical, but it's not very like out of this world kind of crazy. Her stories are very much the focus of her works. I mean, her paneling's good, and a lot of that other stuff works well. But I think probably the most appreciative I am of this story is probably how far it chooses to go with the work, especially at the end of the volume 3. They get into the what's called steamy parts. They don't really show too, like, it's not like, oh, giggling under the covers, but it's not like full-on hentai or anything like that. It's a very solid balance that really brings out the most in terms of expressing the fullness of their story. And there's a lot of pieces that provide confidence to others that have romantic inclinations similar to the characters here. I think that's really great, because one of the things is at the end of the volume 3, the actions of Hana and Hina here actually inspire confidence in another girl to be more honest and confident in herself in regards to more than one thing. I mean, it's just very well expressed, and it's hard to really talk about without spoiling the things that happen in here, but I think Milk Morinaga does a really good job of kind of getting rid of that, like, what's the equivalent? I can't remember. So there's Fujoshi for BL, but I can't remember the equivalent for here, but it's getting rid of the Fujoshi lines while still really being able to dive deep into the story in terms of a romantic and sexual sense. It is not left at, oh, I love you, like, let's hold hands. No, it goes all the way. It goes the distance with the characters. And I think that's really important in telling stories like these. I think you can't quite half-ass them because it leaves things undone, but it kind of paints an incomplete picture of what romance in life should be like within these characters. I mean, it's still an issue within, like, heterosexual romance stories where they don't really complete the whole thing. It's always the end goal rather than like the next step. But that's a different point. I think if you can still find it, I think Hana and Hina After School is a really great, it's a really great read. I think there's a lot of fun ideas in here, and I mean, Hana and Hina, you got Hana is flowers, Hina is sun. I mean, the idea, the height differences, the jokes about that sort of stuff. It's very full of full of stuff to pick up on and read. So I think it's worth it. I think it's a good read. And my last 2 volumes here in fancy plastic sleeves. The Shinji Ikari Detective Diary. I think this one is it's very fun, but it's only if you're a big Evangelion fan, basically. What I find most interesting about this manga came out in 2010. Like it was a late bloomer, and it's got the official stamp of Gainax up top. I don't know if I can get that in there. Let's see. Show me Gainax. Come on. Nope. Anyways, stamped right up on top, it says story and art by Takumi Yoshimura, created by Gainax Kara, which is Hideaki Anno's monster studio, basically. And it's just a 2-volume parody of Evangelion. It does kind of like a mix between tokusatsu and like JoJo stands in regards to its power system in here. It's got all of the typical characters. It's got the kind of the weird, ethereal BL romance between Kaworu and Shinji in here. It's got Asuka and Rei. It's got everything you want. It's got jabs at the mainline series. It's got jabs at the Shinji Ikari Raising Project, which is down over there somewhere on my shelves. It's got a lot. It's got a lot for fans, but I don't think it's really a story that makes sense or is valuable to someone that is not a fan of Eva. So I'm kind of left. I mean, obviously it's out of print anyways from Dark Horse, so it's hard to find. But in terms of reading digitally, I think it's really only for the fans of the fans of Eva. It's very much that sort of thing. It reminds me very much of some of my early days where I would read Naruto doujins online because I kept needing more. Like, it didn't matter how great the story was. I just needed more Naruto kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's fun. I think if you're a fan, these are worth it if you can find them. They're still rather abundant. I got mine below retail, actually at a store in Toronto called Harry Tarantula. I think the website is Harry T though. I'm not 100%, but you'll find it. They do mostly graphic novels and cards there, but they do have a lot of older manga. So I really recommend it if you're a Canadian and you need to find rare stuff like this. Only caveat is that you're paying shipping, so be aware. But that was the last of what I've got in there this week. So that was about it. I'm hoping to kind of break into some of these light novels here. There's some up here as well, way more down below me. I need to get to reading them again. I've just been slow picking them up this year because I've been reading a bunch of regular novels that I have behind the camera here. I want to do videos on art books as well because I've got, well actually I am going to do one at the end of this week probably. Crazy cool One Punch Man one, season 1 of course. So I think that'll be very interesting to do. But yeah, this is a quick and dirty 18, oh my light turned off, there we go, uh-oh. Well there's the timer, so I'll get out of here before I make a fool of myself.